At the height of his youth, with a physique that looked like it was sculpted by the gods, Dallas McCarver was the golden promise of the bodybuilding world. A giant who seemed unstoppable in the eyes of everyone around him. But behind the muscles that gleamed under the spotlight was a man under immense pressure, pushing beyond human limits in an endless pursuit of perfection. His story, filled with meteoric highs and a devastating tragedy, reveals the hidden dangers of a sport where the cost of greatness can sometimes be life itself. Dallas McCarver grew up in a small town in Tennessee, seemingly destined for an ordinary life. But to those who knew him, his drive and energy hinted at something greater. Even as a child, Dallas stood out, not just for his sturdy build that seemed beyond his years, but for his warm, giving nature. He wasn't just big in size, he had a heart to match. As a teenager, Dallas found an outlet in sports, taking on every challenge with unmatched determination. While other kids stuck to their school practices, Dallas was putting in extra hours at the gym, fascinated by how the human body could be shaped and strengthened. He discovered bodybuilding almost by accident, flipping through a magazine at a friend's house. The images of sculpted physiques, nearly superhuman in appearance, lit a spark in him. It wasn't just admiration, it felt like a calling. From that moment, Dallas decided he didn't just want to be like those men, he wanted to surpass them. By the age of 21, Dallas was already competing in local shows. Despite being relatively new to the sport, his presence on stage was undeniable. He wasn't just big, he was commanding. Every muscle seemed chiseled with precision, and his warm smile contrasted with his imposing frame. He quickly caught the attention of coaches and sponsors. It didn't take long for him to rise to the national stage, where whispers of his name began spreading through the bodybuilding world as the next big thing. His meteoric rise came with some remarkable wins. In 2012, he took first place at the NPC Nationals, one of the most prestigious amateur bodybuilding contests. This victory earned him his coveted IFBB Pro card, granting him entry to compete against the best in the world. At just 22 years old, Dallas was already a rising star, and the fitness world saw him as the future of the sport. He was young, determined, and seemed genetically destined for greatness. But what truly set Dallas apart was his personality. Despite his growing fame and string of victories, he remained the same humble guy from Tennessee. Gym buddies often spoke about his willingness to help anyone, whether it was advice on training or just a word of encouragement. He made a point to remember everyone's name, from fans to gym staff. To the people around him, he wasn't just a bodybuilding prodigy, he was a genuinely good guy. Yet, behind the constant smile, the pressure was mounting. Bodybuilding, while glamorous at the top, is an unforgiving sport. The quest for physical perfection demands immense sacrifices, grueling hours of training, brutally strict diets, and often the use of performance-enhancing substances. Dallas knew this and, like many before him, accepted the challenge. He understood that standing out in such a competitive field meant pushing himself to his absolute limits, and he was willing to do it. As the years went on, Dallas became an icon in the bodybuilding scene. In 2015, he claimed victory at the IFBB Chicago Pro, solidifying his status among the world's elite. His incredible physique and magnetic stage presence made him a fan favorite. But as the spotlight shone brighter on his achievements, the shadows of his sacrifices began to grow. Dallas's daily routine was nothing short of relentless. He woke up before dawn to hit the gym for his first workout, followed by meticulously planned meals every 2 hours. Hours were spent analyzing his progress, tweaking his diet, and perfecting his techniques. His commitment was total, but it started to take a toll. Friends and trainers began noticing signs of exhaustion. During workouts, he would occasionally pause to catch his breath, something completely out of character for him. Some suggested he slowed down, but Dallas, ever determined, insisted he was fine. To him, it was all part of the grind. Small incidents began to pile up. A fainting spell after an intense workout, difficulty breathing during competitions, and a fatigue that became harder to shake. Still, Dallas downplayed these concerns. He was a warrior, and in his mind, pain wasn't a warning, it was proof of progress. Stopping wasn't an option. Stopping meant giving up, and giving up wasn't in his vocabulary. Despite the challenges, Dallas continued to shine. He became a public figure with millions of followers on social media, where he shared training tips, glimpses into his personal life, and motivational messages for his fans. He inspired countless young people who dreamed of following in his footsteps, showing them that success was as much about character as it was about muscle. Yet, he carried an invisible burden: the struggle to balance his passion for the sport with the warnings his body was beginning to send. Deep down, Dallas knew he was racing against time. He saw bodybuilding as both an art and a constant battle against his own limitations. He wanted to be the best, not out of vanity, but because he believed it was his purpose. And though he was aware of the risks, he accepted them as part of the price. Through it all, Dallas stayed true to his values. He never let success distance him from his roots. He was known for his acts of kindness, like paying for strangers' meals or surprising kids at gyms with tickets to competitions. He made it clear that despite his larger-than-life appearance, he was just a regular guy with dreams, fears, and hopes like anyone else. What few people saw, however, was the toll this relentless pursuit was taking on his health. Dallas began feeling the effects of years of extreme effort and the constant pressure to push beyond his limits. But even then, he kept moving forward, convinced that true greatness required sacrifice. Dallas McCarver was more than a bodybuilder. He was a symbol of perseverance and dedication. His story inspired not just through his achievements, but in the way he achieved them, with humility, passion, and a huge heart. While the world marveled at his rise, few could see the storm that was beginning to form in the background of his life. The world of bodybuilding was unprepared for what happened on August 22, 2017. The news of Dallas McCarver's death, one of the most promising athletes of his generation, sent shockwaves through the community. At just 26 years old, he seemed to be at the height of his career. To his fans, colleagues, and closest friends, the tragedy was as sudden as it was incomprehensible. How could someone so young, vibrant, and determined be taken so soon from a stage that seemed made for him? That fateful night, Dallas was home alone. His day had been like any other: training, sticking to his strict diet, and sharing lighthearted moments with his social media followers. In one of his final videos, posted just hours before his death, he appeared cheerful, showing off a pre-workout meal and casually chatting with fans. There was no indication that anything was wrong. Yet, in the quiet of his kitchen, fate had other plans. Dallas was found unconscious, having apparently choked on food. The scene was heartbreaking and almost impossible to process. The man who had seemed so invincible had fallen victim to something so tragically human. The bodybuilding community was in shock. How could this happen to someone so strong? But the truth, as it often is, was far more complicated than it first appeared. The autopsy revealed sobering details many were reluctant to face. In addition to the choking incident that caused his death, Dallas was found to have severe cardiac hypertrophy, a condition where the heart becomes abnormally enlarged. It's often linked to years of extreme physical strain and, in some cases, the use of substances like anabolic steroids. This revelation was a heavy blow to those who admired him. It was a stark reminder that beneath the appearance of invincibility lay a vulnerable human being. Dallas's death brought difficult questions to the surface about the price of professional bodybuilding. To many, he embodied dedication and passion for the sport, but his passing exposed the crushing pressures faced by elite athletes. In his quest for perfection, Dallas, like so many others, had pushed past limits that perhaps should never have been crossed. Steroid use, an open secret in bodybuilding, became a focal point of discussions, though Dallas had never openly promoted or glamorized it. His death became a tragic wake-up call about the hidden risks of the lifestyle. For those closest to him, the tragedy was unbearably personal. They knew Dallas as more than just a bodybuilder. He was a young man with dreams and ambitions that extended far beyond the stage. He often talked about building a life outside of competitions, about being a role model for future athletes, and one day maybe even starting a family. He was a man with a pure heart who believed in helping others and leaving a positive impact on the world. Losing someone like him so suddenly felt almost impossible to bear. Tributes began pouring in from all over. Friends and colleagues shared emotional memories, not just about his incredible career, but about his generosity and kindness. Many recalled how he made it a priority to motivate young aspiring bodybuilders, teaching them that success wasn't just about muscles, but also about character. He was known for his warm smile that could light up a room, and for his ability to make everyone around him feel seen and valued. His death, however, also sparked an important conversation about health and boundaries in the sport. Bodybuilders and experts began questioning the normalized practices that put lives at risk. The use of steroids, the pressure to achieve extreme levels of muscle mass, and the lack of attention to warning signs from the body were all suddenly under scrutiny. For many, Dallas became a tragic symbol of the hidden dangers of bodybuilding, a painful reminder that even the strongest can fall. Those who knew him refused to let his story be defined solely by tragedy. To them, Dallas wasn't just a bodybuilder who left too soon. He was an example of how to live with passion and purpose. They remembered his infectious laugh, his tireless willingness to help others, and his unshakable belief that any obstacle could be overcome with hard work and determination. He was a man who lived every day like he was building a legacy, and in many ways, he succeeded. Dallas McCarver's story is a powerful reminder that the pursuit of greatness comes with responsibilities and risks. He was a man who dedicated his life to what he loved, but his path was tragically cut short by the sacrifices and pressures of his journey. His death was a profound loss, not just for bodybuilding but for anyone who believed in the power of hard work and the beauty of dedication. Today, his name is remembered with reverence and longing. He left behind a legacy far greater than trophies and titles. Dallas McCarver was a young man who touched lives, inspired a generation, and, even in death, continues to be a symbol of determination and humanity. He reminds us that no matter how grand our dreams, we must take care of what makes us human: our hearts, our health, and our capacity to love and inspire others. The gentle giant may be gone, but his spirit will live on in the hearts of those he inspired.